what looked like to me a plane, and as it was exploding, I was afraid that our window, the debris was hitting against our window. I was
May I have
afraid
your attention,
that
please?
it was going
May I have your
to
attention,
break
please?
through. It was on
Once again,
fire.
this is a fire safety directive. We are asking that all our guests, please
Yes,
come down to the lobby.
and the
All
entire
guests
building
and
shook.
employees,
And
please
my,
report to the lobby.
I'm from California, the earthquake. I look up and the window is completely filled with flames and debris that is falling, and as we've been standing here, we've watched the second building get hit with another plane.
The Associated Press is reporting right now that the FBI in Washington is investigating reports that these two plane crashes are the result of foul play. There is a report here by the Associated Press of a possible plane hijacking. They don't say two, but they say a possible plane hijacking. Let's go to Kelly Arena, who's on the phone right now from Washington.
People are falling to their deaths, jumping from the flames in the buildings. Yes, right in front of me.
It's very clear that a plane was coming from the right over the Hudson River, and between the two buildings, it slammed at the same time.
Initially, they told us to stay in our rooms, that it was safer because debris was still falling, and indeed it is. And they indicated to stay into our rooms. They just now told us to go down into the lobby of the hotel. But to be honest with you, it appears to me that these two incidences were deliberate. And my fear is I don't want to be in a crowd of people down below, right in front of the World Trade Center if there's terrorist activity. And now there's people out there. It looked to me like the second plane was deliberate, and I could be wrong. But that's what my instincts are telling me, is to just stay put. There were two planes. Yes. Thank you.
May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please? Once again.
Yes, I am here, Michael. We just witnessed some kind of secondary follow-up explosion on the World Trade Center number 2, the one that is on the south, that is difficult to make out through the debris and smoke, but it does appear that the top portion of the building has collapsed down to the streets below. Unbelievable what we have seen here, the debris and smoke just covering the entire portion of lower Manhattan.
building 4. Get down on the ground level. That part of the building went missing. Part of the north wing, not even all of the north wing, is all that was left. And you see all these voids in various places. There was a guy who was right on the edge of this one. He was on the outside edge, and his buddies were on the inside edge, and they're gone. And he's survived. Should have reached out and grabbed him and yanked him over. Now here's this missing part of building 4. It almost looks like you could take a broom and sweep up what was left. This little corner here, but if Tower 2 fell on it, where's Tower 2? So we're going to go look right below the ground level. First level below ground is the mall. There were some first responders that walked right along in there. This part is crunched in a little bit, but the stores were still intact and you could read the names of the stores. So you knew where they were. Here they are, walking along there. You can read with more contrast, you could read Innovation Luggage and Hallmark Cards, and down here it's crunched in a little bit. My favorite, Building 4. Building 4's perimeter used to be here. This is where Tower 2 stood, and Building 4, the main body of it, butted up against Tower 2. But we only have that northern wing left. It was like it was surgically removed, it was cut off. There's a little stub of the main body there, but that's about it. And if we looking from this direction, like looking up, that way we're looking west, this is what we see. Right afterwards is when this picture was taken. It's just sliced off. And nothing left. Oops.
Start kind of talking about disproving or trying to prove something in relationship to something else, that's when we kind of get back to that argument we talked about earlier where there's that bickering of what we should call it as opposed to what actually happened.
Right. And you know, I can say whatever the gizmo was. I can say what it does. You know,
and that's the important enough question.
That's the most
just
important
coming
question.
forward with that is just enough, and why isn't that enough for everybody else?
Well,
out
that's
there,
what it
I
matters.
guess?
It's not. Actually, I have a particular section I wrote in the book. Probably the most important section, at least for me, my sanity, is you know, about people. You know, because I have all this data, and you know that people are going to come out of the woodwork saying, "Oh, it was this. It was that. I know it was HARP. She's so stupid. She doesn't know it was HARP. I know it was HARP. I know it was scalar weapons. I know it was this. I know it was that." And I actually wrote, you know, a section of the book. Let me start with this. Empirical evidence is the truth that theory must mimic. I have repeated this statement several times in this book because its importance cannot be overemphasized. In today's culture of oversimplification and standardized multiple choice testing, many have an impulse to name a known technology, thermite, TNT, RDX, nukes, progressive collapse, HARP, scalar weapons, torsion physics, Nazi bell, etc., instead of looking at the evidence that the use of one technology or another left behind. It is like someone trying to force a square peg into a round hole because no one they know has ever seen a square peg, much less given it a name, so the possibility of a square peg's existence is not considered, even as they struggle to force it into a round hole. Some people feel they're being more scientific when they use the name of a known technology to describe unknown phenomena, but the opposite is true. Such an approach omits evidence that does not fit any known technology. For some people, the term HARP, or the term scalar weapons, or the term Nazi bell, is used like a catch-all weapon, pick-me brain for whatever evidence needs to be explained away, like the ultimate boogeyman, and without their even knowing what these weapons can do. Furthermore, if the full capabilities are classified information, they would not be publicly known. And a weapon that could produce all of the effects we saw in 9/11 would certainly not be in the public domain, no matter whose weapon it was. For these reasons, I've tried to focus on the phenomena, not a trendy name of a particular technology. The evidence must come before the theory. It is understanding what the technology can do that matters, not the name of it. For these reasons, I've resisted the impulse to name a known technology and have instead focused on physical evidence. There will likely be those who will not be as successful in resisting the impulse to put a name of a known technology on the producer of this evidence. This naming, however, will only pull a veil of mystery over it.
What kind of extraordinary measures are going to have to be put in place besides beefing up security at the airports, in your judgment?
Well, Tom, life is going to change. I mean, not only are we going to see much more intrusive security at places like airports and other places where we gather in public, but we are also, I think, going to see some major changes in American foreign policy. We simply have to take another view of how we have fought terrorism. We have looked at this thing in terms of the criminal justice paradigm. In fact, the president said today that we're interested in bringing these people to justice. I think most Americans, once the shock fades, are less concerned about bringing them to justice than sending them to hell.
But we are living through a day, the 11th of September, 2001, that we will be dealing with for a good long time in our lives, and our children will be dealing with it as well in history books, if not in their own lives.
Directions abroad. That's probably the most that we can hope for. It is a day of tremendous tragedy. The only thing that you can hope for is that we react to this in the right way.
We did have to, during World War II and during the Civil War, give up certain liberties, at least for the short term. Do you think that that's going to be what's going to happen at this time as well?
Well, Tom, you know, there's no way to upset the American people any more than by telling them something that they have to do when they don't really want to. And that's true of any of us that try and rush through airports at the last minute. But, you know, it's very, very clear that we're going to have to make some adjustments in the way that we think about these things, simply as the price of living in a much more turbulent world than I think many of us had fully realized up until today. That's going to involve not only those kinds of things, it's going to involve some very, very tricky questions for the FBI and the various other agencies that are pursuing this investigation. Very simply because the fact that whatever the terrorists were that carried out this operation today had help within this country. And it's going to become an extremely difficult thing, and it's also very clear to me looking at this that some of what we have looked at before in terms of the judicial prohibitions, in terms of the judicial restraints, are going to have to be relooked again, simply in light of this new heightened sense of vulnerability that we have in this country.
Mr. Allard, thank you very much.
Another way of looking at this, and I talk about the seismic chart, the seismic signal showed the ground shook for only 8 seconds. Now, figure that one out. If you're dropping, if it takes 9.5 seconds for a bowling ball off the roof to hit the ground, why does the ground only shake for 8 seconds? It should be like this jackhammer, bum, 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 all the way down if it was a progressive collapse or pancaking.
Today, George, I don't know if you heard a little earlier, we raised this question, which was actually raised by ABC's Jackie Judd as we look at these areas down below. And the video where the towers used to stand and where is all the rubble gone. And have you been able to is there any way you can answer that question?
I'm sorry, Peter, I didn't get the question.
Okay, I apologize. Jackie Judd and several other people keep asking us, when you look at where the towers used to stand, there is surprisingly so little rubble. Where did all the rubble go?
It's a very good question, Peter, and I have asked some people who in recovery work this morning. If you look behind me, you can't see the blurry remains.
This is an enemy of praise, and this is suspect.
And one volunteer, Robert Gordon, explained the reason there's so little rubble is that all the
But it will be okay to cover
into the ground and
This is an enemy transit. But it will be okay. This is an enemy that thinks its harbor is safe. But they won't be safer. This enemy attack not just our people, but all people everywhere in the world. The United States of America will use all our resources to conquer this enemy. Around the world, patient, focused, steadfast in our determination. This battle will take time to resolve. Make no mistake about it. Federal government and all agencies are conducting business. But it's not a business as usual. We are operating on a heightened security alert. America is going forward, and to do so, we must remain keenly aware of the threats to our country. Those in authority should take appropriate precautions to protect our citizens. But we will not allow this enemy to win the war by changing our way of life or restricting our freedoms. This morning I sent into Congress a request for emergency funding authority so that we are prepared to spend whatever it takes to rescue victims, to help the citizens of New York City and Washington, D.C. respond to this tragedy, and to protect our national security. I want to thank members of Congress for their unity and support. America is united. The freedom of the nations of the world stand by our side. This will be a monumental struggle of good versus evil, but good will prevail.